Everyone, let's talk about the number one property strategy that all first home buyers need to consider. This is going to suit a lot of people. It's going to suit someone who lives in inner city, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, where it's quite expensive. It's going to suit someone who lives in a rural country town, really rural. Someone who's a fly in, fly out worker, someone who just understands that perhaps there's better places to invest than where they live. So it's called rent vesting, where basically it's where you rent where you want to live and then you buy where it makes more logical sense from an investment standpoint and an affordability standpoint. So I've got a little diagram here. Here's something I prepared earlier. So an example, Harry Potter, a 29-year-old male who lives in Paran, Melbourne. Some of you might know Paran, some of you might not. It's a very expensive suburb to live in. Probably not by Sydney standards, but by Melbourne standards, it's one of the most expensive. So Harry Potter lives in Paran. He earns $85K per year, which is a good salary. He has $30K in savings and he pays $400 a week in rent. So in Paran, the average house price is $1.5 million. So obviously he can't afford a house, can he? Not even close. But he can afford a unit where the average unit price is approximately $600K. He can afford a unit, but he knows from listening to my videos that houses are always better investments. Always. Nearly always. There's always some outliers, but nearly always a house is going to be a better investment. So what Harry Potter does, so in his mind, he's probably thinking, oh, I can't afford to buy. That's it. I'll probably never own a home, which is how a lot of people think these days. But he's only got $30K in savings and he can buy a home. So what he does is he continues to rent in Paran, where he wants to live, where it's a very good suburb, great bars, cafes, restaurants, close to the CBD. It's a great suburb. I used to live there actually. So what he does is he purchases in Perth for $500,000. He purchases a house, which is always going to be a better investment, on a big block in a great suburb with 10% growth, compounding growth annually. And which is very important, his rent covers his mortgage. So he's not out of pocket anything. If interest rates did come down, he would be positive. He would be getting income per week from it. It would be $100, $200 per week that he would be getting when interest rates come down. Right now, it's basically impossible to purchase a house with great capital growth and great rental yield. It's basically impossible. So what he does is he continues to pay $400 a week rent and he purchases a house in Perth that covers his mortgage and has great growth and has great investment potential. So he's entered the property ladder. He's entered the property ladder at a price where a lot of people would have thought, oh, you live in Paran, there's no way you can afford a home. But he can. He can afford in a lot of places, and a lot of times the best investment properties are around that 500, 600K mark. So actually, in a lot of ways, he's in a better position because he can make a calculated choice of anywhere in Australia of where to buy. So after 3 years, because Harry was able to buy a house with great growth and be very calculated about where he buys with great growth, great rental yield, a low vacancy rate, good structural integrity as well on a big block, after 3 years, he's built enough equity to then purchase again. And he can just repeat that process over and over and over until all of a sudden, he's got a property portfolio worth $5 million, and then he can afford to buy in Paran. Guys, this is what property investors do. This is what you should really, really consider. $30K in savings. If you just stopped eating avocado toast, no, you could probably still eat avocado toast. But if you just knuckle down, live under your means for a couple of years, you'll get this. If you have a partner, even great. You only need $15K each. So this is something that you should really, really consider. It's the future for sure because it's getting more and more unaffordable. And yeah, guys, that's rent vesting in a nutshell. Thanks, Harry Potter, for that lovely lesson. And me.